We all use a mirror to see what we look like physically. That reveals us. But what do we use to show exactly what our character's like? How do we reveal that to ourselves? Is it how much money you've got? Is it what you look like physically? Is it what other people say about you? I'm not sure. But what I came to notice is when you're on social media, is there a person that you keep around that for whatever reason triggers you massively? For me, there was someone on my social media and they just spoke everything as fact. All opinions, of course, but spoken as fact. And if someone else had a different opinion, they were either a sheep, they were either naive. Either way, it was something negative about the person who disagreed. And that triggered me relentlessly. And I thought it was just him. I'd be like, to anyone that was like a mutual friend, isn't he an absolute whopper? And if they said, no, I don't, he doesn't bother me that much, I'd be like, what? Why? How not? But I was classing the person as the trait. So that was my shortcoming. But what's interesting about that is, later on in life, I've come to the knowing that I hate anything to do, anything that presents itself as fact. So if someone says this is fact, and then I say, what makes it fact to you? And then they'll say, well, it's written here, it's written there. And I think, well, that fact's been handed down. You haven't done the research. You don't know the methods they use to reach the conclusion of fact. But you state it as your fact. So how many facts are just handed down opinions to people you either think are above you or more superior than you in knowledge, wisdom, intellect? There's the facts that we speak of. So I wasn't triggered by him. I was triggered by a trait he has, which is a trait that I hate in every aspect. I don't like the term fact. Like, I could say to you, it's factual that I love my children. And you could say to me, okay, prove it. And I say, well, look at what I do to them. Look what I do for them. Okay, but isn't that nature okay? That's a descriptive word. So I'm describing what I do for love, but I'm not describing what love is. So how can I say I definitely love them as fact? And I think we do that with everything. We describe what it is rather than what it is. We describe of what it shows. So if I was to say, if someone said to me, describe what love is, and I said, I think it's putting something else before you. So like self-sacrifice. So like me with my children, if they were hanging off a cliff and I could lift one up, but it would cause me to die, would I do it? Yes. Could that be a description of love? Yes, maybe. But is it? Because that's a hypothetical. That's what I think I would do. I haven't done it, therefore I haven't got evidence to point towards it. And then someone else could say, who hasn't got kids, and goes, I love my dog. Now, on my description of what love is, I could say, well, if you and your dog were hanging off a cliff, would you die to save your dog? The answer would be no. So if that answer is no, does that mean that person does not love their dog? No. So what is it? What is love? So if we can't even articulate fully something that every single person on the planet claims to know that they do, but we can't describe what it is, why have we got certainty in different things? Why do we talk about things as if it's a given? So maybe the mirror for the external, for your physical appearance, is other people. So instead of looking for that person's a dickhead, that person's full of themselves, Think of what triggers you about that person, and then see if it triggers you elsewhere. Because think about people who are conspiracy theorists. No matter what information you could bring, you're pigeonholed, you're a conspiracy theorist. Remember that time you said that? That's it. You're in a box now. No matter what wisdom, intelligence, deep research you bring, doesn't matter. That's what you are. And it's crazy to me that we all judge everyone else by the highest standard. But we judge ourselves completely blinkered and blind. You know, I had a friend, and he was a very close friend. And in our relationship, he'd say to me, do you know the things that you think about, as in like the theories you have? Are you sure it's not linked to some form of like depression, or you're feeling sad? And that triggered me beyond belief. So I was like, I can't even voice an opinion that's out of the norm without being labelled what, mentally ill. So that was like enough. That's our friendship done. And it was done. But the irony is, when I reflected back, there was loads and loads of receipts to show me being a shit friend. You know, whether it was his wedding, yet I can't go to the stag do. His wedding itself, yet I'm there half of the day. But like, my daughter was born 2 days prior, she takes precedence. Okay. But then what standard are you judging that person to? And what standard are you judging yourself to? Because obviously for me, those were all valid reasons. Well, of course I'm going to go home and look after my daughter. Well, of course I'm not going to go on a stag do because I've got a daughter on the way, I need to save money for that. You can get reasoning, but is that reasoning sufficient to the other person? And can it be vice versa? So I think the point I'm making, the reflection of the mirror, what we all of us see as number one priority. Female, I need Botox, I'm a bit wrinkly. I need this doing, I need that doing. Men, I'm going bald here. My hairline's going a bit. And we see that as the number one. You know, people spend how much money going to different countries to get different procedures done. And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't judge people for that. But do you put that same level of care in improving your character? And if so, how did you know you had a flaw in your character? Do we all see ourselves in the role as either hero or victim? That's it. I'm this way because this happened to me. I'm right all the time because I'm this. Why? Just why? What is this identity that we're clinging on to? The one that we just can't let go of. It breaks the whole foundation of who you are. Say, let's take religion, for example. I wouldn't describe myself as a religious person, but I am a firm follower of the teachings of Jesus Christ. He's a huge everything in the way I live. That doesn't mean to say I have to say 5 Hail Marys a day or I have to go to Mass. But say you meet someone who's grew up in a predominantly Catholic household. They've got the preconceptions, misconceptions of what religion is. I went through a big journey in regards to self-discovery. Went through philosophy, religion, psychology, you name it, I've read it. I'm not saying I've read it all, but I've got in-depth research on quite a lot of them. And when you meet someone who argues, so literally argues about religion, none of them have ever read it. None of them have ever read, let's say, the Bible. Never. It's this. They'll tell you what it is. They'll say to you, it's this. The reason it's there is for control, model teachings, but either way, it's not real. And you go, okay, what do you base that on? You won't get anything of note back. But at its deepest level, all it is someone saying, the way I view reality, my reality doesn't contain that. I can't comprehend something that someone else hasn't documented, that therefore doesn't exist. And that's a valid observation. I can't look at you and go, you're wrong. I can say, okay. But is that a certainty? Is that a fact? And then you'll either get met with dismissal or avoidance. Oh, do you know what? Forget it. This conversation can't go on. There's no, you're too deep in your belief system that it's against a brick wall. Who's the brick wall? I think everything comes down to curiosity, being open-minded. I've done a lot of short form videos because, as you can see, like I go all over the place. So I wanted to try and keep it concise, but even trying to keep it concise, I was like, near enough every other video, my wife says to me, you're gonna have to explain that to me. To me, it makes sense, but again, I'm still learning on how and who I am. So to me, I'm like, what do you mean it doesn't make sense? It's obvious to me. So yeah, if we're looking at the mirror to show us who we are, why don't we start looking at other people and how they react and how we react inside to their negative traits, because we've all got them. I'm showing one now, I'm rambling on. But either way, next time someone triggers you, think of where that trait shows up elsewhere in your life. You'll probably find a pattern. And that's fascinating. Because if you can spot patterns and you can see them in action, of course you can stop them. Of course you can redirect them to a new pattern. Why not? We're not all what we came from. We're not all our background. We're literally whatever we want to be. So let's all look in the mirror outwardly this time.